What difference will you make today?
Welcome to Agency for Change, a podcast from KidGlov that brings you the stories of changemakers who are actively working to improve our communities. In every episode, we'll meet with people who are making a lasting impact in the places we call home.
Hey everyone, this is Lynn Weinman, president of KidGlov. Welcome back to another episode of the Agency for Change podcast. Today, we are honored to welcome back to the podcast Macala Carter, executive director at Center for People. So Macala is here today to share valuable insights into the organization's evolution and the challenges and triumphs it has faced since her last visit. She'll also talk more about their unwavering commitment to building connections that break those cycles of poverty while empowering the people of Lincoln, Nebraska to achieve lasting economic independence. Macala, I am always eager to talk with you. Welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you, Lynn. It is a thrill being here. Thank you for the invitation.
Absolutely. You know, I always love talking with you. You have such great energy. And the last time we had you on the podcast, that episode aired in December of 2022. I know a lot has changed, but for people who maybe aren't familiar with Center for People or didn't listen to that first episode, can you just tell us more about the organization and the vital role it plays in the community?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm thrilled to be back, largely because I'd only been in my role as executive director and actually in the nonprofit space for only 4 months when I did that.
Wow, I
Yeah.
forgot how new you were to the
I was so
position.
green.
Yeah, but I know you had a huge vision at that point. But
Yeah,
I also know so many pieces have really started to fall into place since then too.
they really have. And you're right, we did have a really large vision. And 2 years later, so in July, it'll be 2 years that I have been in
Wow.
this role. And a lot of them have come to fruition, which is really exciting to see. But if we look at the core of what we do at the Center for People, we help low-income families by providing basic needs and educational opportunities needed to become financially independent. So that really is our mission. And we do it in a lot of different ways. And so as we look at the Center for People as a mainstay here in Lincoln, if we look at those basic needs, we provide upwards of 700 kids every month with diapers. We
Nice.
provide over 2,300 unduplicated families every single week. So put that into perspective, 2,300 unduplicated families every week with food options where they get to shop our People's Pantry. And then we talk about that economic independence, and we understand at the core of that really is that education, that upskilling, that training component. 80% of our population that we serve are self-identify as employed. They're just underemployed.
Yeah.
And so we offer those opportunities for people to upskill, to train through our educational programs. And then new this year really is that career placement piece. So that it's kind of a trifecta of really filling our mission statement. Our mission hasn't changed. It's the same mission that has always been in place for the last 21 years. We just feel like we're fully living it now today.
Yeah, I love so much of that, Macala. Actually, I love all of it. I love how you are innovating as an organization. And, you know, I think sometimes people might think of an organization that does food distribution, that does health equity, and they might think they know what that means. But I'm curious, how are you innovating in those programs? And what does that innovation mean to the people of Lincoln?
Yeah, so we on April 1st, so we are now 1 month in. On
Wow.
April 1st, we opened our People's Pantry. And when I arrived here, we provided services, food distribution services in a really kind and compassionate way with the environment that we had in front of us. But what we wanted is we really wanted a model where it was a grocery store model. And so our board had shared that from the beginning, that this was really a vision that they had had. They wanted us to have a grocery store model. And we went to Heart Ministry up in Omaha and were able to witness their operation, learn from them, see what they do, and the magnificent work that they were doing with the Omaha community. And we thought we can replicate that exact experience so that we bring dignity and respect into our experience. And so on April 1st, we opened up our People's Pantry, and it is a grocery store model. That's just one component of it, though. We also have a food equity kitchen. And so when we think about our community coming to shop with us, a lot of folks, we talk about spaghetti squash often. So a lot of individuals don't either know what the vegetable is or they don't know how to prepare it. So we had an existing warming kitchen in our space that was being unused. And so we were able to really create an inviting space where we now can prepare foods, teach people how to prepare nutritious, economical, on a budget meals with the food that we're providing in our pantry, and be able to have demonstrations for individuals. So our food equity program really does bring in the pantry and then the education space from that cooking. And then to add to that is we have a greenhouse now that we have just opened up.
Oh, I love that so much.
No, so do we. And so what we're able to do is a lot of different things with our greenhouse. We're able to have our community grow from home. So we have bucket gardens for families to be able to take tomato plants home or pepper plants home that are already started. And they're able to take them home and grow them on their stoop, their patio, their porch, wherever it is. We have raised beds here for our ELL program, our English language learning families, to be able to grow on site. So they're able to be pseudo farmers from our space. And then we're able to take those plants and harvest them and bring them into our kitchen and continue to teach around that food equity and nutrition component.
Oh, I love that. How many times have I said I love that in this episode already? And we're just getting started.
I don't think you can say it enough, Lynn, because I love it too.
Okay.
Yes.
And the spaghetti squash, such a great example. I have a spaghetti squash on my counter right now, something that I love to make. But if you just received a spaghetti squash and you didn't know what it was and you didn't know how to prepare it and all those things, that would be frustrating on its own. And it could even be wasteful in that you're just looking at the spaghetti squash going, do I peel it? Do I roast it? Do I slice it up? What do I do with it? I put mine in the microwave, quite frankly, but
Lynn, I love what you're saying there, is because and food is such a connector, and it brings cultures together, it brings communities together. It allows people to have communion together in terms of how they're coming together. And we also want to, from our kitchen, we want to learn from people like you. How do you cook your spaghetti squash? Share with us, because we're going to then integrate all those things too. So there's lots of iterations of what's to come.
All right. Well, just since you asked, I microwave it. I ground turkey. And I put pesto on it. It's kind of a low carb pasta dish that I like to eat for lunch. So there you go.
It sounds delightful.
So Macala, you've talked about so many innovations, so many visions. Are there other notable developments or achievements from the center that you'd like to share since the last time we talked?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a very large 80,000 square foot building here in the north side of Lincoln.
That is a big building.
It is a very large building.
Yeah.
A lot of warehouse space. And in the past, we were really in the back of the building. And over the last 2 years, well, actually basically since August, we were able to move to the front of the building. With that came greater visibility. We are able to gain greater accessibility for our community members. The bus stop is 100 feet from our front door now. People can come to us if they need food, if they need educational opportunities. And really, we designed it for at least a 2-year runway. So we had classrooms, we had modular classrooms put up in the new space and computer labs. And we really thought we had 2 years to grow out of it. It's kind of that model, build it and they will come. We have it, and we are already at capacity.
Wow.
That space. And so we're really, really excited through a grant. We're able to continue to build out our workforce development. So when we talk about that cycle of poverty and breaking it, again, we feel very strongly that that comes through educational opportunities and then career advancement. And so we're going to be under construction this summer and building another computer lab. We're going to be able to have our ELL program and classroom expanded. And then our
Nice.
opening doors program, which is our reentry program, we're going to be able to also grow that out from a space aspect. And so we're just thrilled about those pieces of the puzzle. Also, we have launched our talent marketplace, which is our career alignment with employers of choice here in Lincoln with our employees of choice. So as we
Yeah.
train and upskill people, we're getting them into those jobs. We're getting them into those positions where they have advancement opportunities, where they're earning not only a livable wage, but hopefully down the road, a thriving wage. So we're really excited about that. We've brought on in-house Clarity, which is a reporting system that is shared among other nonprofits here in Lincoln so that we have that cross-reference to better serve our community. And we've grown our community partnerships. Since I've been here for the last 2 years, we have about 15 community partners that are coming into our space every single month, complementing our services and providing additional services for our community.
That is something I love about nonprofits, how collaborative you are. You already mentioned that you visited the Heart Ministry in Omaha to really learn best practices from them about the pantry program, but then these other partnerships that you're making, I think that's great because there's enough work to do. We don't need to duplicate or compete with one another, but partnering together is such a great concept. So, how much as a marketer I love stories, and I think stories really help people remember about the message and the work that you're doing. Could you share any recent stories or examples that showcase these services at work?
Well, I have several in, so
Oh,
I'm constantly learning new ones, or I'm witnessing them, which is really special. And there's a couple I'd love to share with you. And I'm going to
absolutely.
start with Isabella. So Isabella is one of our POP graduates. So that's People Obtaining Prosperity Scholarship Program. We offer a scholarship program to SCC where people can earn their associate's degree without a cost to them. And so it's a really remarkable program. We've been doing it now for 11 years strong. So we have lots of different case studies around it and really amazing successes around it. But Isabella is one of our most recent. Isabella is a single mother of 4. She's a first generation college student, and she graduated this last December with a GPA of 3.8, and
Wow.
she secured a job with Lincoln Regional Center. And here's really the neat thing about Isabella's story is we're talking about generational poverty oftentimes. Sometimes there's that situational, but oftentimes the folks that we're serving, that generational poverty is truly ingrained and embedded.
Yeah.
And so Isabella, as a new graduate, her oldest child is graduating from high school this spring,
Oh, it's amazing.
and he's already looking at where he's going to college. Mom modeled the way. Mom showed him how to do that. And so again, what we're doing is we're impacting generations. Unbeknownst to us, unbeknownst to,
Yeah.
but they're modeling the way, they're leading the way. And so Isabella was a really, really neat story that recently was shared with me. I do like to highlight our ELL program, which is our English language learning program. And I thought these numbers were fascinating. And so they're not necessarily an individual, but it's a full look at our class. So
Yeah.
in April alone, we had 71 unique learners in our ELL program.
In April
In
alone.
April alone. And
Wow.
of those 71, they represent 5 different continents, 14 different countries. And here's where I was blown away. They speak 18 different languages, all
Whoa.
in one class.
You know, I've never thought about that. I've never thought about when you do ELL classes, you always think about the English part of it. I've never thought of having to take people with 18 different languages and teach them English. Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's pretty stinking remarkable. And, some of our community members that take our classes every single day, we offer them every day, Monday through Friday, they will take 2 buses to get here. They will
Wow.
it's just amazing the commitment that they have to their own success and to the program. And so, and again, we continue to grow out of our space. So we're excited. We're thrilled to be able to expand this summer with a new classroom to be able to accommodate more individuals in that program.
Macala, what I love so much about both of these stories together is that not only are you giving people a path forward, breaking cycles of poverty, helping generations to come, but on the flip side, we all know there's been a workforce challenge across the country, and particularly in Nebraska for the last several years. So you're benefiting the community in so many different ways. Good for you. I love that work that you're doing.
Thank you.
I'm curious then, all the innovation, all of the new things, the new programs, all of the people you're serving, are there any misconceptions about the Center for People that you've encountered in your short time there? And how do you address them?
Yeah. So I like that question a lot because yes, we have experienced them. So I'm gonna speak from the population that we serve first and
Yeah.
say the misconception often is that our community is not employed. And that's
Mhm.
false.
Yeah.
Community, 80%, as I said before, 80% of our population identify as employed, with many of them working more than one job.
Wow.
Again, they're just not earning a livable wage.
Yeah.
And so that's often a misconception we get for the community that we serve. There is, when I took this job, I did a tour around to a lot of the foundations, and I asked what's the perception of the Center for People? What is that reputation? I wanted to know very honestly what were the things that I was going to bump up against, and more importantly, then how do I solve them? How do I
Yeah.
solve if there are misconceptions out there or perceptions out there? How do I solve for them? And so from that standpoint, there was a lack of transparency, is what I would hear. I would hear that we weren't always collaborative with other
Yeah.
partners.
Okay.
And I would hear that funding was done by one stakeholder of the center.
Yeah.
And so it was a really amazing opportunity. And I have thanked those individuals that were so honest with me because I can't solve things unless I know.
Right.
And so with each of those, we've been able to really unpack some of those misconceptions and the lack of transparency. We're now enrolled with Clarity. So we are sharing our information across the Lincoln Network, United Way. Everyone is able to see our numbers. And so when we say we are serving 2,300 unduplicated families every single week, those numbers now are transparent to everybody.
That's
And so if there was
amazing.
any question on that, they now can see that. And that number continues to grow. So lack of transparency, we feel like we've countered that, but we're always willing if there's other suggestions to battle that yet again. The lack of partnership with other agencies. Like I said, we have 15 different agencies that come in or partner with us on a monthly basis. So we really feel like that collaboration is strongly tethered to who we are as an organization and how we serve our community. And then the funding piece. And so the funding piece has been one of those really challenging components of
Yes.
role, and it is for any nonprofit. So I'm certainly not going to dispel that for other nonprofits. But for us, we did have a very large stakeholder that did fund us and was such a generous donor that funded our in-need program, so our food and our diapers. And since that person is no longer funding us. And so this year really is a pivotal year for us in terms
Yeah.
of how we're letting people understand that we do need funding to be able to continue those services. And what is unfunded is our food and our diaper programs. I
Okay.
challenged our board last board meeting with this question. If we closed our doors tomorrow, would our community notice? Would there be an impact? And for those 2,300 unduplicated families every single week, it would be a monumental impact. I don't want to use catastrophic,
Absolutely.
but it would be monumental. And so this year's really a year for us to grow, to challenge ourselves, to really reimagine what we can do. And so we're really excited about that. There's also a small contingency of folks. We did a name change a year ago, and we did it from the voice of the community we serve.
Yes.
We heard on repeat that people would say they felt like there was a lack of dignity and respect with the in need. We
Yeah.
were center for people in need. And we still are. As an organization, as a legal name, that is still our legal name. But we shortened it because of the voice, because of what our community was sharing with us, that they said there was a lack of dignity in that they wanted us to drop that they asked for us to, because they wanted us to understand that that's not the position that they want to always be in. There wanted to be a growth model around it. So as a shortened nickname, or as doing business as, we now are the center for people. And so I think that there's been a little bit of a thought process around that we're no longer serving people in need. I can say with 100%
Yeah.
and accuracy that we still are serving people in need. So in order to qualify for our services, you have to be at or below that federal poverty level. And so
Yeah.
we continue to serve that community. We continue to serve that community in numbers that are greater than when I started 2 years ago. But without a doubt, we're serving an in-need community. We just are doing it with everything around dignity and respect.
Absolutely. You know, Macala, we like to talk at KidGlov when we think about branding. When you're working with a nonprofit, particularly in the human service space, we want to make sure there's nothing about your brand that
Mhm.
re-stigmatizes the people you serve, right? We want there to be dignity, head held high as you walk through the door. Because honestly, for most humans, it is hard enough to ask for help
Yes.
anyway. And then if there's a big flashing light above the door that makes you feel bad about walking in, whether that's a virtual door or a physical door, that's not a good thing. It's going to be a barrier for people to get the services that they need. So even though it seems like a small shift, words matter, and it's a big shift. So I congratulate you for making that one of the first things that you did when you became the executive director. So even though it hasn't even been 2 full years yet, you've done a lot. I have to ask, like, do you ever sleep, Macala? Like, it feels like you have jumped in here and just been working, working, working.
Oh, so when I started, I told my husband, just give me 6 months. Let me give me 6 months to get my feet under myself. And I
Uh-huh.
keep telling him another 6 months. I just need another 6 months. And finally, I think the last time I told him I just need another 6 months, he said, just stop.
Uh-huh.
In
There's
a very
just so
supportive
much
way, he
work.
said.
Yeah, there's so much work to do. And you're an idea person. I know that about you. You're an idea person, and there's always going to be new ideas. So I'm curious, in this short time, what are a few key lessons that you've learned, both personally and professionally?
So for me, and I think it really comes back to know your why. I was in banking for 21 years. I had a really great career in banking. I wanted to make the shift into the nonprofit. I knew my why. And really, that's been the guiding light for me, the beacon that
Yeah.
allows me to continue to make the decisions that I make. Really, my personal mission, vision, and values need to align with the organization that I'm with.
Yes.
And knowing my why, knowing that they are strongly connected personally and professionally is so very important. And so that keeps me grounded every single day. During this time, lessons, it's okay to make mistakes.
Yeah, I think I used to tell people you can't be an entrepreneur without making mistakes. I think you can't be a leader without making mistakes, right? At
Yes.
some point, you just have to go out and make the best educated decision you can and try. But you're
Mhm.
going to make a mistake, learn from it, course correct,
Apologize when you need to.
apologize. Yes, people are so afraid of making mistakes or saying the wrong thing, but if you've made a mistake, yes, apologize, course correct, and move on.
Yep,
Yes.
yep, absolutely.
Great advice. Great advice. So, as you reflect upon your journey, what aspects of the organization continue to inspire and motivate you most? Kind of tying back into your why, Macala.
Oh, absolutely. So from the standpoint of my why, it's the people. It's the people that I
Yeah.
serve. I get to serve, and it really is I get to serve. So it's the community that I get to serve. but also it's the community that supports the work that we're doing. So it really is twofold. And that's what keeps me going every single day. So even on those most difficult days, even on those days where I'm feeling discouraged or we're not making the headway that I'd like for us to make, I put my pen down and I close my computer and I go out and I visit with our community and I interact, and I make it a point to do that regularly because, again, that keeps me grounded to my why, but also it keeps me inspired. It keeps me understanding why I do this work and why others support the work that we're doing. Because it's a great responsibility when people give us their dollars
Yeah.
to support the organization. I take that as such an honor, and I want to make sure that I'm so respectful of that commitment that people provide us. And
Yes.
so I want to always be responsible with what we have. And so making sure that I'm always connected and grounded with the people we serve, the people that support us.
Absolutely. It's a different relationship than a product or service where you give people give you your money and you give them something in return, right? There's accountability required there. But when you are a nonprofit and you are asking people for money to invest in your cause, you want to be able to show that you're using that money well and that you're making a difference. So I love all of these things that you're doing. And I want to ask, what's next?
Well,
I know I can see, people can't see you because this is a podcast, but I can see you. And I see this beautiful whiteboard behind you with pie charts and notes in different colors. What's on the roadmap for Macala and the Center for People?
well, what you can't see behind me, Lynn, is a column on the far right side that says future considerations, because these are the things that I want. But here's what I'm going to tell you. In the last 2 years, we've doubled in terms of our federal grants, in terms of the allocations. And so we don't want to do something unless we're going to do it really, really well.
Yeah.
And so this year I have promised, I am an ideas person and I've got plenty of them in my back pocket, and I'm just eager to share. But
Yeah.
what I'm looking at for 2024 and the commitment I have made to our director of finance and to the board is that this year really is going to be a year of stabilization. And stabilization comes in a lot of different ways for us.
Yep.
Stabilization is going to be that financial stabilization. Stabilization is going to be really built around, we have a couple different revenue streams that we are rolling out. In the past, we never had a revenue stream. And so down the road, not only do we want stabilization, but we want sustainability.
Yeah.
So those are two really big words that we're focusing in on. And so this year, we are going to really define and roll out our revenue streams and get those up and going. And then deepening our programs. We have added a lot of programs. The pathways that we offer today are around skilled trades, technology, healthcare, and business. And so we want to get those pathways deepened, strengthened, and really we want to have a model that when we bring on other programs, they just fit in there nicely and comfortably. So this year is all about stability.
That makes so much sense. I mean, any organization, for profit or nonprofit, when they've gone through such a period of growth and innovation as you have, you need that moment to take a breath and let it settle in, and then start to work on that future considerations list. Because me too, being an idea person, I know what that's like. Mine is on my desk here, so you can't see it behind me, but it's a lot of fun to think about that. So Macala, for our listeners who have been hearing about all the great things that you're doing, if they'd like to find more, connect with the Center for People, maybe make a donation or volunteer, how can they connect?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So our website is www.centerforpeople.org. And it's a beautiful website that our friends at KidGlov helped us with. And so
Thank you for that shout out. That was our honor. We love that website and the new brand.
Oh my gosh. It was such a neat experience, both in rebranding and everything. So it's beautiful. So visit us on our website, but also I love talking to folks that want to learn more about us or want to be introduced to us again because we have changed so much.
Yeah.
Just because you knew what we did 4 years ago doesn't mean we're doing the same thing. We're doing it a little different. So come out, see us again. So reach out to me directly. My email is mcarter, CARTER, at centerforpeople.org. I love taking people on tours. I love meeting people for coffee. So any speaking engagement, I invite people to reach out to me because I want to connect. I want to connect with people. That is what fills my cup.
Macala, that's very bold to give out your email on a podcast. And if you don't mind, we'll put both your email and the link to the website in the show notes so people can easily connect. So that's
Thanks, Lynn.
very bold, but also I do understand also how you love connecting with people as well. So, all right, the last time you were on, we asked my favorite question was for you to give us a few original words of wisdom to inspire our listeners. Do you remember what your quote was from 2022? Because I looked it up and wrote it down. It was one of my favorites.
I don't, but I'm guessing it's probably, I'm big on the notion of few burdens are heavy when everyone lifts.
That is what you said. That is what you said. I loved that so much. So I wrote it down, December 12, 2022, Macala Carter. Few burdens are heavy when everyone lifts. So if you want to be consistent, we can use that quote again, or if you've got a new one you'd like us to insert into our hall of quotes, we'll do that as well.
That's always my tried and true, my steady Eddie, but on my computer screen, I have a yellow sticky note. It's nothing fancy, but it's a reminder daily, and it reads, "What difference will you make today?"
Oh, yeah.
And it's not a quote, but it really is an accountability question. And it's something that I model every single day in the work that I'm doing. What difference will you make today?
I love it. I'm going to definitely count it as a quote, Macala. I'm attributing it to you. And what I love about it is it just goes right back into your why, right? And the making a difference and helping people and finding innovative new ways to connect and make that happen. So what difference will you make today? I love it. And I love that you have it on a sticky note on your computer. That's fantastic. So Macala, every conversation with you is always full of energy. I love to connect with you, but as we bring this podcast to a close, I'd love to know what is the most important thing you would like our listeners to remember about the work that you're doing.
Oh gosh, the most important thing, that it's not done alone. It's not. Everything, both from the team that I support, the community that shares feedback with us, the donors that believe in us, nothing is done alone. One person can make a difference, so that is important to note. But when you have a community or when you have a bunch of people with that same goal, wow, it's amazing what can be accomplished. And so that's really what it is I can't do this work alone. I certainly don't pretend to. And it's pretty remarkable what we accomplish when we have a united group.
Macala, that is beautiful. I just have to say, I fully believe the world needs more people like you, more organizations like the Center for People. Thank you so much for sharing this story today.
Thank you, Lynn. It was a joy.
We hope you enjoyed today's Agency for Change podcast. To hear all our interviews with those who are making a positive change in our communities, or to nominate a changemaker you'd love to hear from, visit KidGlov.com at KidGlov.com to get in touch. As always, if you like what you've heard today, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and share. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.